Hey, and welcome to today's tutorial. Today I'm gonna transform this skirt into this top. So if you want to see how I did this, just keep on watching. So first here we have the skirt is laying on the floor, and there's some inner fabric that I'm just showing you. So the first thing I did was to cut the bottom half of the skirt off, as I just showed you. So I'm just drawing that out so it gets even and cutting that off. And here I'm using both the inner fabric and the fabric with all of the pattern on. So first I've just cut one part of the skirt so I'm sure that it gets even. So this is the fabric with the pattern on, and then afterwards I'm gonna do the green fabric with the same measurement. So here I'm just lining them up so the green fabric is on the inside and the seams are kissing. Here. So now I'm just gonna mark 15 centimeters up so I know where to stop sewing the elastic in. So I'm just marking that with a pin, and here 3 centimeters up I'm gonna do the first row of elastic. So I'm using this really thin elastic, and what you're gonna do is you're gonna manually put it into a bobbin. So you're just gonna rule it, turn it around until the bobbin is filled, and then you can put it into your sewing machine and sew it as a normal thread. It does take a little time to do, and you're gonna have to do it a couple of times. The result is really, really beautiful with these elastic tops. So I'm gonna sew with a straight stitch and have the stitch count on 3mm. And here I'm just making a little test to see how the elastic looks and what color I'm gonna sew it with. Here's the back side of the elastic. And here you can see what it looks like with the different color of the sewing yarn. One of them is a bit darker and one of them is a bit lighter. I chose to go with the darker one. So here I'm gonna sew the bottom part of the top first, and I'm gonna mark it with a 3 centimeter up, as I'm showing you, and just sew all the way around. So now I'm just sewing all the way around, and I have both of the fabric. It's a bit difficult to see, but that's why there's a pin in it, so we have them aligned. And now just keep making sure that it's the same distance. So that was the first round. So now the second round. Now we're just gonna sew right next to the seam we just did. That way we have an even round. it's really easy to just follow the seam you just did. And you have the same distance on all your rows. So this is what we're gonna do for the first part of the top. So here I did the first 15 centimeters, just sheared it with the elastic, and it already looked really nice. So now we're going to take this little tool so we can open up the seams in the side. So I just did that, as you can see here. Because on the back side we're going to put elastic in like we just did. And in the front side we're not going to do that. We're just going to leave the front side, but sew elastic in the back side. So here I'm sewing elastic on the back side with the same distance, just going back and forth. So here I have the top with the elastic in the back. And I'm going to put it on and pin it so I know where to make the seam in the side so that it fits. As you can see, there's quite a bit of fabric, so I don't need it all. So to make sure that it fits, I'm just going to pin it together in the sides and then adjust it so that it fits my body. So here I'm done adjusting it, and you can see there was a bit of fabric that needs to just get cut off before it got the right fit. And we're going to put elastic in the top of the top, so it needs to be a little loose. So here we have the top with the pins in it. And the side seams, just like this. And we're gonna just sew it with a straight stitch all the way up, or almost all the way up. We're gonna leave a gap, but we're gonna put that on the sleeve. But sew it up and leave the last 3-4 centimeters open. So now we're gonna do the top of the back, and here I'm just randomly folding the fabric so it gets a little chunked up. Yeah, just look a little wrinkle. I thought it could be a fun way to do a seam. Also just fold it in the edge so it doesn't look like it's falling apart basically. And you're just gonna stitch that, sew that with a straight stitch, and then you're done with the back. So here's what it looks like. It actually turned out really good. As it was really fast just pinning it that way, so it's a really quick way to do a seam. But first we're going to put an elastic in the top of the top, and here I'm just using a bit thicker. I think it's 0.5 millimeter elastic. So I'm just going to fold the fabric about 1 centimeter down and pin that. And now here I've got a piece of elastic that fits. I just measure it on my body, and we're gonna sew that on. So just pull the elastic while sewing, like I'm showing you. You're just gonna keep doing this all the way. And we're gonna use this same technique in the sleeves. And it's really easy to just sew onto this elastic while you're pulling it. And it turns out really great. Just like that. So now it looks like this. Then I went to fold the fabric again, and this is a bit tricky because the elastic is folding together. But folding it down so the elastic is hidden, and then pinning it. You're going to pin it all the way, so just sew it with a straight stitch to hold the elastic in place, and it won't be noticeable. So you just pin it, and it looks a bit weird. So now we're going to go and cut some fabric, some pieces to the sleeve, and we're just going to need the colored fabric. The pieces that I'm going to use for the sleeves, and I'm just going to fold it, in half, and we're going to sew along this side, and that's going to be the bottom side of our arm. So now we have a straight stitch down there, so it's connected, and it will look like this. Now I want to do a seam on where this piece of fabric is widest. If it's just a tube, then it doesn't matter which side you do it. And here I just did it on one of the pieces, one of the sleeves. Just made a seam. Just about 1 centimeter from the edge. So now we're going to fold the fabric and have the edge right in the middle of the folded piece. I don't know if that makes sense, but I'm trying to show you. Don't really know how to explain it. So I'm folding it inwards because I wanted it so it's like double folded. That's the word. And just securing that with a pin. So now we have this to go, this seam that we just did, so we know that the fabric is folded correctly and it won't slip out or just break. So we're going to do that all the way around with the pins. So you can see here, I use the seam as a guideline. Now I put the pin in all the way around, and we're going to take our top and put the pins in here too, so it's connected. So just making the seams kissing where the two gathering parts is, and pinning that together. One in the middle, and I just put two in the sides. It's not that big of a piece, And my fabric isn't that tricky to work with, so I didn't need any more pins right here. So now the sleeve is connected, and here I'm just laying it out so you can see what it's going to look like. So now we're going to take another piece of the 1.5mm elastic, and I just cut this so it fit the top of my arm. So we're going to sew this after where it's connected to the top, just like we did with the top of the top. Yeah, but I'm going to show that in a minute. So here I'm just showing how I pinned it. I just moved the pin so it was easier to sew. So here I'm just sewing it in the armpit with a straight stitch. And I just marked where I need to start sewing the elastic on with the pin. So here I'm just securing it. And I'm stretching it and just sewing all the way around. I'm sewing quite a bit in because I wanted this sleeve to be a little ruffle. Give me some ruffle. I don't know if that makes sense. You're gonna see it in the end. Anyway, just sewing it on like this all the way to the end, and do the same in the other side. So now the only thing we need to do is put an elastic in the bottom part of the top. For some reason my camera deleted that part, but we just did the same thing, just double folding it around the elastic. Yeah, just right here in this end. Just double folding it, right, do exactly the same as I did just now, just double folding it, pinning it down and sewing the elastic in. It's the same thing that we've been doing twice, so I hope it's okay that I'm not showing you that part. And then it's done. So thank you for watching. I really enjoyed making this. I got so surprised of how beautiful this turned out. This was just a skirt my grandma had found to me, and it got so beautiful. I think it's one of the most beautiful things I've ever made. So once again, thank you for watching, and don't forget to subscribe.